gentlemen, welcome to an episode of QI that is all about Jeopardy. Joining me to fight crime, fear and disorder tonight, Wonder Woman Julia Zamiro.
Yes.
A Supergirl Sue Perkins. Boy Wonder Ross Noble. And our own Danger Mouse Alan Davis. So, buzzers, please, Julia goes. Oh, that's Jeopardy. And Sue goes. Oh. Yeah, definitely worth doing twice. Ross goes. And Alan goes.
Vehicle reversing.
Well, they are quite dangerous vehicles. Yes. Yeah, good choice. Yes, absolutely. Well, we must be vigilant because danger stalks us from the moment we wake up to the moment we retire. How far can you go on a cup of Joe? A cup of Joe being an Americanism for...
Java? Coffee?
Coffee, a cup of coffee. Yeah,
I thought it was an insane cat. You actually ride on the back of Joe.
It's a somewhat caffeine-crazed cat.
That's a flat white too many for that little kitten.
It is rather.
How far you can actually go in terms of energy?
No, it's more literal than that. If you're carrying a cup of coffee, how far can you go before you spill it? This is actually all down to science. What is the science of the movement of liquids called?
Wobbleology.
Fluid dynamics.
Yes.
Fluid dynamics is a whole science. Fluid dynamics. It's a whole science and the most important one, and much has been discovered as a result of fluid dynamics. It's a very useful and fruitful area of discovery. But one of the things they've discovered is that the average human stepping pace happens to cause an oscillation, which means that between 7 and 10 steps, you are going to spill the coffee. You will set up a series of wave movements. That means the furthest you can go is probably about 10 steps before you will definitely have spilled some coffee.
This is the Mrs. Overall effect.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, like a long jumper could still perform and drink before it's spilled, because that's only 3.
Well, that's true, but I think we're talking about a normal walking pace rather than the hop, skip and the jump or a long run. But it is a peculiar fact, and it's sort of verifiable by trial.
Some scientists... I need some serious proper work to getting on with
it was probably from not doing proper work. They probably went down and just went, should we get a coffee? And went, oh, we're meant to be working. Right, measure me.
It has to be said, it is the University of California in Santa Barbara, which is known as the Surfers University for slackers in California, though I'm sure it's deeply unfair on a highly respectable academic institution. But they suggest a flexible container to act as a sloshing absorber with a series of annular ring baffles. So they're just suggesting that...
Annular ring baffles?
Surely. That sounds like space.
You can order them online, can't you?
I'll tell you what, the amount of times my annular has been baffled. I'm always down the
Baffle your rings, sir.
Yeah.
Annular ring baffle is a bit of a tautology, because annular means ring-like anyway, so it's a bit silly.
Annular ring baffle.
You used to take the baffle out of your exhaust pipe to make it louder.
That's right, yeah. I mean, baffling is sound muffling, isn't it? But it's also absorbing waves, and that's essentially the same thing, because if you're muffling sound, you're absorbing the waves.
If you put a baffle in your anus, that'll make you have quiet farts.
I suppose it would. Until pressure built up to such a stage.
Then you're potentially lethal.
And then you could have someone's eye out in the aisle at Waitrose, which you wouldn't want. But there have been more, obviously, useful...
Baffle your rings, sir.
There have been more useful applications for this business of this whole resonance business of building up frequencies that cause oscillations that can be dangerous. Now, have you seen Albert Bridge in London? There's a particular sign. It sort of leads from Chelsea. There it is. It's a famous sign. It's a rather beautiful, one of London's most beautiful bridges. All troops must break step when marching over this bridge. Why would that be?
Something to do with an oscillation.
Yeah, exactly. If you're marching in rhythm, chunk, 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 you might set up a resonance that would cause the bridge to collapse.
So the marching creates an oscillation, which creates an unstable structure, which means the bridge can act like one of those sort of pirate ship rides on a when a local fair comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why Michael Flatley can never get north of the Thames. That's a reason. He's furious. He's always wanted to go to Madame Tussauds. Right now, he's at the Elephant and Castle going, I can't believe it. I want to go and see the Queen. I just can't get over there. It's a bleeding nightmare, so it is. Shocking state of affairs.
Yeah, he's
and
crazy
in fact, those leather
But
pants
talking
as
of crossing the Thames, there's another bridge other than the Albert Bridge where that problem arose, the Millennium Bridge, between St Paul's and Tate Modern, the Wibbly-Wobbly Bridge, as it was known, closed for 2 years, and it cost £5 million to put right
but I think that
the fact that it was twisting in the wind.
That was mainly because Russell Watson was making videos on it. Every time you see any Russell Watson video, it's him by the Thames looking out into the distance. There's nothing wrong with that bridge. It was
No,
him
but
singing. You got Flatley up one end, you got Watson up the other. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, good. Well, I think we've... Now, one's smaller than the moon and keeps moving the sea around.
Is it a seal on caffeine?
No.
Is it one of our other moons?
No, it's not a moon of any kind. It's not a celestial body. It's a marine creature.
Like a big
moves
whale.
Big thing, yes.
Oh. This better be the blue whale.
It so is not the blue whale.
Is it an animal that lives in the sea that moves the sea with its mass?
Is it a
Well,
colony
yes,
thing, like
ultimately, with its combined mass,
Is it
not its
plankton?
individual mass. Oh! Yeah.
Many fish, like a school of... forming a school of...
Fish.
No, it actually accounts for 40% of the biomass of the ocean.
Algae.
No, it's amazingly not.
Cola tins, but it's not a fish.
No, we call it a fish, but it isn't a fish.
Jellyfish.
No, jellyfish is
Oh,
the right
genius
answer.
right here.
It's quite extraordinary. Now, it used to be believed that a jellyfish propelled itself by squirting water out of the back, as it were, by jet propulsion. But it's been discovered by the scientists at Caltech that it's actually slightly more complex. And what these jellyfish do is they essentially cause an enormous amount of the water at the top, which is oxygen-rich, to go down to the bottom, and a lot of the water at the bottom, which is full of nutrients, to go to the top. And they keep the circulation of the water extremely healthy. And they might contribute 1 trillion watts of energy, which is easily as much as wind or tidal pull. And they also mix the cold with the deep warm water at the surface.
I've got one I put in the bath, so I don't have to do that.
Yeah, that would do it. Oh, my God.
Up your end, get back up your end, I don't want stinging.
So they're like the mixer tap of the ocean.
They mix the tap of the ocean. It's a very good way of putting it. But they can be malign as well. It so happened in 1982 that a ship had in its bilge water a particular one called the Neopsis ledii, which is a comb jelly from North America. And they arrived and had no local predator. In less than a decade, the population had reached a biomass of 1 billion tonnes in the Black Sea, which is where they were. And 1 billion tonnes is 10 times the weight of all the fish we catch every year around the world. And it destroyed everything. Fortunately, then, another carnivorous jellyfish arrived, and it only eats the Neopsis, and so it ate them all, and once it had eaten them all, the balance was restored and the fish returned.
Just one of these things turned up.
A few in the bilge water.
So it's holidays.
No, enough to breed, but my God, did they breed. Isn't that extraordinary? There's just little jellyfish that look so kind of light and nothingness, are 40% of the biomass of the ocean. I think that's quite interesting. How many jellyfish are there here?
In that picture?
Yeah.
What, is it one with a very flamboyant hat on? Sorry, where are the words with a flamboyant hat on?
It was the one that was enough, but it is a flamboyant hat. The flamboyant hat gives it its name. If you've ever seen a Portuguese conquistador, they wore hats like that.
They didn't have many in Croydon.
They didn't know, but...
Is it a man o' war?
A Portuguese man of war is what it is, but
nice.
it's not... I'll give you a clue that it's not a jellyfish. And it isn't even a single creature. Portuguese man of war is not one animal. It's a colony of animals that operate together as one.
Like the Borg.
Incredibly. Yes, we are Borg. Exactly.
We are Borg. We are jellyfish.
Why isn't it called the men of war, then?
I know it should be, because originally people didn't understand that, and so they called it the Portuguese man of war, because it looked like a Portuguese helmet on the top. The inflatable bladder along the top is one creature which provides buoyancy and works as a sail. The tentacles are separate and carry the coiled, spring-loaded harpoons, which have the most incredible speed. They explode in 700 billionths of a second, which is the fastest known animal mechanism on Earth, and very painful. And there are other creatures that make part of this colony, gastrozooids, which digest the food, and gonozoids, which are the gonads, the sexual reproduction
So they're
part of it.
separate, so you've got...
They're actually separate creatures.
The stomach floats along, and then you've got the gonads behind.
Yep.
So the stomach's looking for its bollocks, essentially, in the middle of the...
It's called a siphonophore, that kind of a creature. And because they drift passively, they collect in vast herds of thousands or so. And that's why the appearance of one is enough to clear an Australian beach, as you probably know. You've seen, because one tends to mean there are going to be lots. And the sting is very painful. 10,000 Australians a year, on average, receive a Portuguese man-of-war sting. Not pleasant.
Toughens you up, though.
No, exactly.
I mean, that's
exactly.
life, isn't it?
One day it'll toughen you up enough to win a test match against us. How many times in history have I been in a position to be able to say that?
I
Not
know,
many.
and I enjoy
Yes,
it
exactly,
so much.
exactly. A man of war can hurt you, but not kill you. What is Australia's deadliest creature, in fact?
Oh.
Yeah.
Rupert Murdoch.
After Rupert Murdoch.
So sorry about
After
the fact
Murdoch.
he came here.
Yeah, excluding a member of the human race, which I'm not sure whether that does or not, but anyway...
Are we talking about deadliest in terms of, like, its actual killing ability?
Causes the most fatalities every year.
I would say the kangaroo.
It's not the kangaroo.
Is it the spiders, the funnel web, the red...
It's going to be something on the road, isn't it?
It's the box jellyfish.
No, it's not. That is a nasty creature.
Is it rabbits? Is it rabbits running in front of utes or some sort of...
You're certainly right that most of the deaths caused by animals in Australia are caused on the road, but the animal that is most responsible...
Crocodile?
Is it man? The most deadly of all?
Snake.
Shark.
No.
Can you say that? I was not born there.
It's not about a cat, though. In the year under the sample year we're taking, one human being in Australia was killed by a cat that year. But 128...
A cunning plan executed skillfully and quietly.
It's the roads involved.
Often the roads.
Are the people in a car at the time?
Sometimes, yes, but sometimes they're on the animal involved.
They're on the horse.
It's a horse, yes. A horse. More people are killed by horses than... It's a very angry horse there.
That one needs a dental hygiene appointment ASAP.
Seriously does. Yeah, because they fall off and break their neck, or indeed they cause car crashes and so on. And horses kill 3 times more than the ones you've mentioned.
Is it because people just maybe haven't they don't ride horses often, and then all of a sudden they decide, oh, I did this once as a kid, and they got on a horse, and then actually, I mean, they're incredible animals. They're very powerful. You just can't think.
Incredibly powerful and incredibly stupid and incredibly nervous. They shy, they rear, they're frightened. What's that? It's a hedge. It's a piece of paper.
When we lived in Australia, my wife bought a horse, and she's desperate to try and get me to ride, right? So she said, I bought this horse, it's really docile, you'll be fine. So I got... Well, no, there was actually... The problem was it was too docile. What happened was it ended up being studied by Melbourne University because it was one of the few horses that was medically got narcolepsy. So I swear to God, it's one of the rare cases of a narcoleptic horse. So she buys this horse, and she said she couldn't work out why every time when she was grooming it, it would get heavier. Like that. And so she couldn't groom it because it would fall on her. So she says to me, "It's fine. The horse is narcoleptic. Get on it." And so I got on it in full motorbike gear because I wasn't taking any chances. And I sat on this horse, and it started to just... And you know, normally you kick a horse to make it go. This one, he kicked it and it would go, what? Hey, like that. To make it up. And I had a friend, and he never came to visit us, unfortunately, but I got a friend over here who's got narcolepsy himself, and that would have been the funniest thing. Because he would have been on the back of the horse, and then, like, if they got it intact, obviously it would be a bit rubbish if he was awake and the horse went, and he's like, well, and then the horse got... That just... It's a waste of time. Could you imagine, as a cowboy film, a narcoleptic, just the two of them? Yeah, it was a genuine narcoleptic horse. Brilliant. And sometimes it would fall asleep against the electric fence. So it would go like that. It's like Jack Douglas from the Carry On.
Oh, well, that's my kind of horse, frankly. Yeah. But it is the horse, anyway, that turns out to be the deadliest animal. Followed by the cow, 20 deaths from cow. Those are mostly on the road again. And then dog, 12 deaths from dogs. Sharks killed 11 in this particular period we're looking at. Though last year was a very bad year for shark deaths, particularly in Western Australia, I know in Perth. 8 by snakes, which is amazing because Australia has something like 80 or 90% of all the deadly snakes on Earth. Crocodiles, alligators, only 4. Spiders, only 3. And 1 person killed by a cat.
What a cat.
Yes.
Did you see that woman that she had her bum bitten off by a shark?
Ow.
And they did a... You know how they do face transplants?
They did a bum.
They didn't put a face on her...
You looked at that to Anne Widdecombe.
Yeah, and there was so she actually had a bum transplant.
Who donates their bum? Well, they say, yes, not obviously my organs, but if you could just...
I can do with one buttock.
Yes.
Like a kidney.
But that's easy, a bum. That's just a bit of flesh. You could get that from anywhere. I don't see that's amazing.
You can harvest that off somebody while you're queuing at the supermarket.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just flesh.
With one buttock.
You could...
One buttock, because that's how you create the fart. That would be... Where's the joy in life of going, oh, here it comes. It's not good.
I'm not sure that...
measure our felicity by flatulence, it has to be.
I'm not sure that it's the wobble, it's the vibrating of the buttocks that makes the noise.
You want to get it baffled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. We discovered in in Series G that spiders are not deadly as such, but they are aggressive, of course, and they are certainly cannibalistic. If you put 10,000 spiders in one room, you'd eventually end up with one enormously fat spider.
And the works of Shakespeare.
Yes. Anyway, horses kill twice as many Australians as any other creature. How did you defend yourself against this beast?
Boy. Oh. The hell is that?
What is it, Stephen? I can't...
It's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's a dinosaur called Frutadens hagarorum.
It's a weird-looking dinosaur.
It is a weird-looking one. It's a quite friendly-looking one in a strange sort of way.
Well, if you ignore the massive, great spear it's got for a tail.
Yeah, that is pretty big.
It's got a lovely fringe.
It's actually it's actually feathered.
Oh, feathered fringe.
And it has front fangs upwards, very unusual.
Front fangs and a feathered fringe.
Front fangs and a feathered fringe.
Are you Ronnie Parker?
The surprising thing about it, I suppose, is that we have this view of dinosaurs, which is largely to do with their size. The way to deal with that would be just to squash it with your foot, because it's tiny. Oh. It's basically about 4 inches tall. It's the smallest dinosaur we know about. Tiny, whiny little dinosaur. Yeah, absolutely, 4 inches, that's it.
So was it a herbivore or an omnivore? Oh. Paris Hilton would have that in a flash.
Exactly. It's about the size of a chihuahua, a tiny chihuahua. It ate plants and worms, and we made some people think frogs, possibly. It lived in the late Jurassic period, 150 million years ago, dodging between the legs of all the Allosauruses and Brachiosauruses. It's called Frutadens because the first fossilised remains of one were found in Frutar, which you may remember is a town in Colorado, which gave the world Mike the Headless Chicken, who was a hero of a QI episode some years ago. Yeah, it's a bit of a coincidence.
He lived for years.
So it's probably a scavenger. It was the dinosaur equivalent of a rat, probably.
4 inches. That thing's 4 inches.
4 inches, yeah. Amazing, isn't it? Ornithischia is the name of its family, bird-hipped, that means, and its closest living relative is a bird. As you probably know, a lot of people think that all dinosaurs were ancestors of birds. And it's certainly true that recent experiments have been able to trigger the ancient dinosaur genes. And they've managed to produce chicken embryo that grew curved dinosaur fangs by triggering dormant genes that are not usually triggered in the birth of a chicken.
I bet Colonel Sanders is shitting himself.
Yeah, exactly. And then they grew one with a small tail, not a feathery tail, but a real tail. And paleontologist Jack Horner, who wrote a book called How to Build a Dinosaur, predicts the imminent arrival of the world's first chickenosaurus. Basically a chicken with fangs, tails and arms.
You're talking crazy stuff.
I know it is crazy stuff, isn't it? It would have scared the living daylights out of the
They'll still make the KFC Fangosaurus burger. You know them.
Yeah, they will. But no
Most
dinosaur
animals...
was bigger than what? What is the biggest living creature that has ever existed on the planet?
The T-Rex? Or that giant...
No, I said no dinosaur was ever bigger than the biggest living...
Oh, I see.
Whale.
Sorry.
The blue whale was your chance to be right with the blue whale, Alan. The blue whale is bigger than any dinosaur. I know. Bummeroony. I'm so sorry. But there still are very small reptiles. In fact, I've been to Madagascar and have one. It's called a Brooksia chameleon, a little pygmy chameleon. And I have one right on my finger. You can see that there. Isn't it? They are absolutely perfect
Was it tasty?
chameleons. No.
If you eat the chameleon...
It's just the most beautiful thing. And for a night walk in the woods of Madagascar and came across it. Obviously incredibly easy to miss. And they sit there quite happily on their finger. And they are exactly perfect chameleons. Their eyes do the same thing of swivelling in all directions. Right, so if you're threatened by a Frutadens dinosaur, the best thing is probably to squish it with your foot. How did blind King John of Bohemia find his way around the battlefield?
Like that.
Well,
By saying, where are we?
He must have had helpers. Somebody must have helped him.
Well, they did, in there was a particular way. He became king of Bohemia and Poland as a teenager, and he loved war. And that was his undoing, because he developed ophthalmia and became blind, but that didn't stop him from wanting to fight. And he joined up with Philip IV of France and made the big mistake of taking on Britain. No, you don't do that. Oh, no. We get the dusty old cane out of the cupboard and we give Johnny Frenchman a damn good slapping.
So this is the 100 Years' War?
This was indeed, and it was 1346. 30,000 troops of Philip, including blind John of Bohemia, died at the battle, and 200 English died.
Oh.
That is embarrassing.
That is a bit embarrassing.
That's a whitewash.
It is a bit of a whitewash. But many people regard that battle as the end of chivalry because we cheated by using longbows and cannon.
You see?
And the French were used to hand-to-hand combat, and they just couldn't
We did a lot of that.
Didn't play fair.
I spit in your face.
Yeah.
Let's have a little wine before we begin.
Yeah.
You know, just a little...
We had a technological advantage.
I think after 20,000, the other 10,000 think, you know what, I'm going to jack this in.
Well, actually, John of Bohemia's son, Charles, did run away very sensibly and had a very successful life. He became a highly creditable Holy Roman Emperor and presided over a golden age of Bohemia.
Who goes in and cleans up this mess.
Oh, there's a lot of scavenging, I'm afraid, of the dead bodies. It's a pretty nasty business, those battles. But, importantly, John did fight. What he would do is he would, as it were, he would have a rider to the left of him and a rider to the right of him, and he would be lashed to them, and they pointed him in the right direction, and he would just wheeled away with his...
The two of them surely would just ride well away from him. And say, "You've got him, sir, you've got him! Here's another one, well done, sir!" Just bash swords together.
Unfortunately...
The whistle of arrows.
Oh, that was a close one. Oh, I'm hit, sir, I'm hit.
That's what you and I would do, but unfortunately they were too stupid, and they did indeed dart into the fray.
Is this what they wore? One's got one of those perfume bottles and a pineapple in his head.
Yes, it does look most
The other one's wearing one of those things that you squeeze an orange with.
Oh, yes, that's right, it is. A lemon juicer kind of thing.
Did he ask for that costume, or was it because he was blind? Stick a pineapple on his head, that'll be a laugh.
You'll never know.
How did they choose who would flank?
I guess he just gave orders. You will go one side of me and you will go the other.
In fact, that'd be a great idea for blind people nowadays with the white stick. You know, there's some people that don't get out the way and don't pay them respect. I say we get rid of the white stick, give them a sword. Down the street.
Very good.
People in wheelchairs, the old border seer things out the side.
Yeah.
You know,
or a lightsaber.
Exactly. Now we're talking.
Can you get those? Are they real then? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, are they?
They're real. They're
I think so.
absolutely real.
Wom. Exactly. Yeah. If you strike me down now, I will become more powerful than ever. I'll give you something story when he became Catholic, and when his son Matthew was about sort of 8, he decided to give him a crucifix for his birthday. So you may not appreciate it now, but one day you will find this extremely important. And Matthew picked it up and just went... Very pleased with himself. Well, Blind King John of Bohemia did die in the Battle of Crécy, but so brave was he considered by the victor of Crécy, the Black Prince, that he took Blind John King of Bohemia's motto, which was German for I serve. Do you know what that is?
Where the bloody hell am I?
Ich.
Yes.
Yes.
He's Prince of Wales.
Ich.
And Dean, which is still
today,
the motto of the Prince of Wales, I serve. And also, that this is more controversial, the 3 ostrich feathers that were the symbol of the Bohemian prince. And it all comes from Blind King John of Bohemia. Anyway, so that was the Battle of Crécy, the end of the days of chivalry, the beginning of machine wars, if you like, longbows and cannons and so on, but a great...
And cheating.
And cheating, if you want to put it that way. Speaking of riding into danger, which fairground ride is most dangerous? The Wall of Death, the Wheel of Death, the Death Slide, or the Euthanasia Coaster?
Well, I'd go for the latter, but I've been on a Wall of Death.
Yes, what is a Wall of Death?
That's the bike thing where you go up and there's a sort
right.
of...
What keeps you from falling?
Sticky tape.
Audience? Centripetal petal force, centripetal force.
Like a salad spinner, essentially.
Yeah, if you like, exactly.
Was it fun?
Tumble dry.
It was a lot of fun. My dad detached his retina.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah,
Before he got on, he went, right, here we go.
He wanted to be like Blind King John of Bohemia.
Yes, and you stick.
Oh.
My sister went on one of those, right, at the Cramlington Carnival, and as it was going around, there was a kid next to her with a goldfish in a bag, and it exploded. But the trouble is, he couldn't do anything about it, she couldn't do anything about it, so they're on there like, and it went poof, like that. And the two of them just started going, like that. And then as it slowed down, and then, yeah.
Poor little goldfish.
The Wall of Death is also, I think, an expression at heavy metal concerts.
Yes.
Just before some amazing song that's going to go off, all the fans move out into 2 lines and leave like a passageway, and before the most violent sort of song reaches some crescendo, they all go...
That's absolutely right. It's a kind of moshing wall, exactly, which they fight. And there has been a death at one of those, in fact. Well done for knowing that. Definite points there. The Wall of Death was first seen in Coney Island in 1915. There have been a few reported accidents, but no fatalities. And we can add to that list 2 detached retinae.
Yeah.
There was one that a guy had a bear on, wasn't there? Have you seen that? With a car on a Wall of Death, and there's a bear in the car. Just putting it out there.
Not nice. The Wheel of Death is slightly harder to describe. It's a kind of circus apparatus, a beam attached to a tower. The tower rotates about its centre, and then there's a hoop. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the acrobat stands inside, and they're rotating inside something that's also rotating, so it's a kind of double rotation thing.
With no cables, no safety cables.
No, it was invented in 1933 as the Space Wheel, and there were fatalities, and then it was brought back in the 1970s as the Wheel of Death, and ironically, since then, there have been no deaths.
Safe, yeah.
It's been safer.
There's the globe. Have you seen the Globe of Death?
Oh, no, what's
Where
that?
it's like a mesh ball, like that, and you have one motorbike goes round like this, and the other one goes like that.
Oh, my God, the timing has to be so good.
Yeah.
The Death Slide is really better known as a zip wire. But you are absolutely right that, in theory, the most deadly of them all is the euthanasia coaster. It's a project of an art student in London called Julijonas Urbonas. He's a Lithuanian PhD student. It exists as a 1 in 500 scale model, and you can see there. The idea is the ride would last 3 minutes, a 2-minute ascent to the very, very top. It's 1,600 foot.
Oh, God.
So very, very high. You then have a minute's 223 miles per hour plunge down into those rolls like that, during which you're pulling 10 Gs of centrifugal force in that case, and that would kill the rider through what's called cerebral hypoxia, in other words, deprivation of oxygen to the brain.
Have Chessington World of Adventure bought it?
No, they haven't. He believes his design offers a humane and meaningful death. I don't know quite why it's meaningful.
Die like a screaming clown.
That'd be amazing, because you could actually build a chapel at the end. Family could just sit there and...
Absolutely.
And then the best thing of all is, after the funeral, you get a picture of your loved one. On mugs, anything you want.
Well, he believes the descent offers the chance for reflection, and the riders can still pull out once they've reached the top. If not, death is painless, quick, and apparently euphoric. So how they know, I don't know.
There's one in Auckland, one of those ball things that you sit in, and you know, they have the bungee straps and they fire you up.
Oh,
the top,
my goodness.
But they make you wear, like, one of those surgical mask things. And I said, why are they wearing the surgical mask? And apparently, because it's right next to an office building, people are trying to work, and you hear, "Ah!" It was putting them off. So now it's going, so some blokes go, well, I predicted sales over the next... on the windows.
Oh, my God.
I went to Alton Towers one time, and they have this ride where you just go along, and then you get to the edge of a vertical drop, and it goes like that, and everyone goes, "Ah!" And then it just drops you straight down a hole in the ground.
Oh, good God.
And if you sit in the cafe next to it, you can see it out the window. So while you're having your sandwiches, just about every 60 seconds, just there, "Ah! Ah!" all day long.
Why do people...
Disturbing place to work.
I'm always fascinated why
It really
people
is frightening ride
love
as well.
that feel. I mean, I know it's... I mean, roller coasters when I was a kid, it was like, wow, that was it. But now they're so extreme.
Oh. Yeah.
I just...
really
I
are.
don't get the kind of
No.
exhilaration of
I
it.
bungee jumped, and that was so exciting. I immediately had to do it again. I just absolutely
Really?
loved it, yeah.
What about the guy who made his own bungee jump? You heard about him?
That was stupid.
I think he won a Darwin Award.
Yeah.
And he made his own bungee jump with a rope.
So just hung himself.
Well, no, it took his foot off.
Oh!
His foot came off.
Well, that's just
What the
terrific.
Darwin Awards are all about.
Yep, it certainly is. So, what's the biggest dead body in the world?
April, perfect.
Blue whale.
I'll give you a little hint. It's a body of water.
The Dead Sea.
Dead Sea.
The Black Sea, because of the jellyfish.
Yes, well, not because of the jellyfish. The jellyfish certainly didn't help, but the Black Sea, only the very top has any living things going in. 90% of it is absolutely dead. And it is much, 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 much bigger than the Dead Sea, and much, much deader. 90%, as I say, is just simply nothing. It's been dead for millennia, so it's not our fault for once. It's a very steep basin into which the upper and lower layers don't mix, and the bacteria use up all the oxygen. And you take the oxygen out of a sulfate, you're left with hydrogen sulfide, which is the sort of rotten egg smell. The Black Sea is the largest reservoir of hydrogen sulfide on the planet, and it's deadly.
Is there any use for that? Someone could devise a use for that? Some scientist who isn't busy measuring how long it takes to spill his coffee on the way back from mission?
Yes, they have already devised a use for it, and that is as a poison to kill people.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And in
If
fact,
the euthanasia roller coaster doesn't take off.
I tell you what, it's a hell of a Butlins.
in Japan, in particular, it's very, very popular because you can use, you know, various household cleaners and pesticides to make it. And 2,000 detergent suicides, as they're called, have been recorded in Japan since 2005. So it's a single breath is enough to kill a human being. It's almost as deadly as hydrogen cyanide.
Since 2005.
It's a lot, isn't it? I know, it's pretty disturbing. One of the dangers is that after the first sniff, it doesn't smell of anything. It kills the olfactory system. And so 80% of people who turn up at the scene of a detergent suicide are themselves poisoned by the gas remaining because they can't smell it. So it's really most unfortunate. So there's not much cheerful about that,
No,
I have to
no.
say. I'm sorry about that.
Right.
So we can cheer ourselves up. What isn't a blue whale, but floats around in the sea and weighs as much as a blue whale?
Is it an elephant on holiday?
Elephant doesn't weigh as much as a blue whale. No, it's really...
A ship?
No.
Submarine.
No, it's something that the blue whale
A massive
consumes.
lilo.
Plankton?
The blue whale can consume its own weight in...
Plankton.
Well, actually in water. It dives all the way down and then dives up again with its mouth open, and it swells and swells and swells, and it literally can take on 90 tons of water quite a staggering sum.
Gotta love a blue whale.
Yeah.
That's right. You do love a blue whale.
That's my thirsty mother.
They're marvellous. They can actually take in something the size of a blue whale. Not to swallow, as you know, because, as we've discussed previously, grapefruit's the biggest thing they can actually get down their gullet. But they get this gigantic amount of water inside them. Really amazing. And they go really, really deep, and no one's been able to go deep enough to find out what they do until very recently.
Just gossiping.
Just gossiping. That's right. Having quizzes in which people say, is the answer Alan Davis? Yes, well, it is indeed. The water in a blue whale's mouth weighs as much as a blue whale does. Why shouldn't you mess with the maxillofacial death pyramid?
Is it because it's got the word death in it?
that is a hint. The maxillofacial death
fun pyramid.
What would maxillofacial mean?
Maxillofacial is who you go to see when you get a broken cheekbone.
Yeah, exactly. It's the maxillary area of the jaw.
Top jaw, isn't it?
But it's the maxillary. The pyramid is actually sort of there from the bridge of the nose down through the.
So it's like a facial Bermuda triangle.
There it is. Yeah, yeah. And it's basically about blood flow from the brain down. If you've got little infections and things, it goes down through there and then gets sorted out by the immune system. But what can happen if you pick your nose and your spots and things is you can get bacteria in it that sort of block it and force it all the way back up into the brain. Meningitis is an example of that, and syphilis, indeed. Is
from picking your nose?
Well, not from picking your nose. We don't get syphilis from other methods.
Yeah, that's how you get syphilis.
Yeah.
It slightly depends what you're picking it with.
That's how you explain it to the wife. No, it's just picking my nose, no. Must have spread.
Yeah.
There is actually a DIY hardcore punk band from Sheffield called the Maxillofacial Death Pyramid.
Oh, they really?
Yeah.
I like the sound.
It's quite a mouthful for asking for a ticket, but they're probably excellent. And if you're watching, you know, I'm coming to your next concert, you can absolutely
The
guarantee
internationally
it.
recognised signal for death metal bands.
Yeah. So you've got to be a little bit careful about picking your nose. Pleasurable an activity as it is.
You can die from it.
Yeah, that's something to tell your children. Well, there you are. Now, making hydrogen with nails and drain cleaner would be a very jolly jape indeed, don't you think?
Yes, I think
so. Let's try it.
Yeah.
To prove that it's hydrogen, I'm going to have to set fire to it. And I'm going to have to set fire to it on my own hand. So, first of all, I'm going to have a little basin of water I'm going to put here, dip my hand in to wet it so I don't burn myself too badly. And then I have my really exciting... Oh, hello. Made a mistake. Sorry, man in my ear. Furious with me.
What's he fucking doing? Put the water down! Do this properly or you will die. Do you understand?
No.
Start again, for fuck's sake!
He was much gentler than that. He was very sweet. So, anyway, I've been told to tell you not to try this at home.
Try it at someone else's home.
Yeah, sorry.
The fire exits are there and there.
What I've got here is I've got some ordinary green-coloured washing-up liquid. We're not allowed to mention its its name. I've got a little chemical lab, I don't know what you call it, little flask, I think is the word.
Oh, this is like going on a picnic with Heston Bloom and stuff.
It's got some nails in it, going to add a few more, a little bit of zinc. And I've got here, this is the hydrochloric acid, basically.
When are you going to put on the safety goggles, Stephen?
I'm going to put on the safety goggles now, because I'm about to open the bottle of acid.
Put the fucking safety goggles on!
Not only that, but I've also got a mask. Here we go.
Sorry, can I just ask you? You're putting on safety.
Yeah.
You're putting on a mask.
Sorry.
You're fine. You're expendable. I may have the mask upside down. It does tell you to put the mask on your children before putting it on yourself, as on an aeroplane.
Get the fucking mask upside down!
Right, OK, I've got the goggles.
Right.
I've got this. Now, what I'm going to do, all right, is I'm going to pour this acid...
Jesus, onto some nails.
Into the nails, that's right.
Why?
And the zinc and the hydrochloric acid will
Has
react.
he been drinking?
Yeah.
Has he been drinking?
He's been drinking that.
Oh, there we go. And that's going to produce quite a lot.
Oh, it's not get away.
I now have to put this... I have to put this cork in it. If I put the cork in it tight enough, it will come out of here. And I put this in here, and it will bubble up. Right, that's important.
You said so.
The bubbles are made of hydrogen. This is my contention. And the only way to prove it is to grasp the bubbles. I'm going to wet my hand now to be safer. And grasp these bubbles.
The hell is that?
Or I'm going to take the
It's
bubbles
like a
out.
sex
I'm going to go. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get even more bubbles.
That is great.
Stephen's goggles are so steamed up, he's completely blind.
Even more bubbles.
He's blind as
Here we go.
blind King
Here
John
we
of
go.
Bohemia.
Oh, come on. Oh, work
all got a
lighter.
light.
Oh, the light has stopped working. Oh! Let's try it again. One more.
Put your hand again, you do it.
Oh, come on. Bloody lighter.
Expelliarmus.
Oh.
We'll take that off now.
Wow.
Handmade hydrogen, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
That's very exciting.
Pretty exciting. Let's cover that.
Put the lid on the acid!
There we are. We can let all the hydrogen disappear. Our wonderful science elf said, he said, just so scientific, he said, don't touch that because it's exothermic. It just means it's hot.
Hot. It's hot.
Couldn't say hot, had to say exothermic.
How's the smell? Can I just say that's quite
smell?
Pretty whiffy,
Yes, we
pretty
can.
eggy,
Pretty
whiffy,
Eggy whiffy, well, a bit of hydrogen sulfide probably in there that might kill you, of course. Let's hope not. Let's hope at least you survive until we get to the scores. Well, I have to say, sadly, in last place... Isn't that bad?
It's downwind.
Especially now I know it's potentially fatal.
No,
Yes, it is.
it's not hydrogen sulfide, it's just hydrogen. So, I'm afraid in last place, but it's a very creditable last place. And only just with minus 16 is Julia Zamiro. Oh! And who's found extraordinary good fortune avoiding final place. Third place with minus 14, Alan Davis. Highly respectable. And my goodness, it's tight at the top with minus 7 in second place, Ross Noble. So, that can only mean that our winner with a magnificent minus 6 is Sue Perkins. So, it's good night from Sue, Ross, Julia, Alan and me. Now, you come back soon now, you hear? Do that thing and be lovely to each other. Good night.
Stay with us as the comedy continues here on BBC HD.